The 5 most popular engagement ring settings in any jewelry store right now are also the 5 hardest to resize, repair, or maintain. I've been setting stones for over 20 years, and I watch buyers walk out with these every single week without anyone telling them what they're actually agreeing to. The industry doesn't hide this because it's complicated. It hides it because the repair appointments are profitable. By the time this video is over, you'll know which 5 settings to walk away from, and exactly what the design flaw is in each one. These aren't cheap rings. That's the part that makes this frustrating. Every setting on this list is sold at every price point, from a few $100s all the way into the tens of thousands, and the price tag tells you nothing about the engineering problem underneath. The setting is not a decoration sitting on top of the ring. It's a mechanical system, and some of these systems are built with structural trade-offs the showroom will never mention. We're going through 5 of them. The one right in the middle is the one that surprises people the most, because it might already be on your hand. And number 5 has a problem that goes deeper than the setting itself. Let's start with the one that's everywhere right now. Micro-pavé is everywhere. It's the style where tiny diamonds cover the band in a surface of continuous sparkle, held in place by microscopic beads of metal raised from the shank. A halo ring uses this same technique arranged in a ring around the center stone to make it look larger. They photograph beautifully. Under showroom lighting, they're blinding. I get why people buy them. Here's the part nobody explains at the counter. Those beads aren't just decoration. Each bead is the only thing holding a single tiny diamond in place. A ring with 80 pavé stones has 80 separate points where the structure can fail, and every one of those beads is in constant contact with surfaces all day long. They flatten. They wear down. When a bead wears enough, the stone it was holding shifts loose, and you usually don't notice until the stone is gone completely. This isn't a defect in a specific ring. It's the physics of the design. One reputable micro-pavé manufacturer publishes a notice in their buyer documentation stating directly that full-band pavé will face difficulty when resizing, and that there is a real chance of losing side stones in the process of any size change. They know. They're telling you in the fine print. The fine print is there, nobody reads it out loud at the counter. The sizing constraint runs deeper on full-band designs. When stones go all the way around the ring without a plain metal section, resizing distributes stress across every single stone seat at once. For full eternity pavé bands, any significant size change usually means rebuilding the entire ring, not a quick adjustment, a complete remanufacture. Jewelers describe this as the point where a resize becomes a remake, and the ongoing maintenance commitment is real. This isn't a ring you buy once and wear without thought. You're signing up for a relationship with a bench jeweler who tightens beads and resets melee stones on a recurring basis for as long as you own it. Some buyers are fine with that. Most buyers have no idea that's what they agreed to. If you're considering a halo ring, specifically ask the jeweler what it costs to retighten the halo stones and how often they expect you to need it. Watch their face when you ask. The answer tells you everything. Micro-pavé at least has a repair path, even if it's expensive and recurring. The next one takes a different kind of toll, because the problem with it isn't the maintenance bill, it's what you're actually looking at when you think you're looking at a larger diamond. A cluster setting groups multiple small diamonds in a pattern to fill the visual footprint of a much larger single stone. An illusion setting takes a different approach, a faceted metal plate with a small diamond recessed into it, and the plate's geometry catches light and creates the impression of something much bigger. Both approaches share the same goal, which is to make a smaller stone look like something it isn't. I'm not calling this fraud. I'm saying it's a design strategy the industry never fully explains. The cleaning problem alone should give you pause. Cluster and illusion settings have a lot of geometry. Grooves, channels, textured surfaces, recesses. Every one of those is a place for lotion, soap, skin oil, and daily grime to collect. What dazzles under showroom lighting turns murky under real-world conditions fast, and getting a brush into every recess that needs it is harder than it looks. Most buyers clean less than they should because of this, which means the stones sit in built-up debris, which accelerates wear on the metal holding them in place. Stone loss is a real risk in any cluster design. Multiple small stones means multiple loss points, and losing one stone from a cluster collapses the entire visual effect. Matching a specific melee stone from an existing cluster isn't a standard repair, because the original cuts, sizes, and placements were specific to that pattern. The resale reality is this. No secondary market values a cluster or illusion setting the way it values a quality center stone in a clean, practical mount. When buyers want to upgrade years down the line, they find out the individual stones are melee diamonds, tiny and low value as individual pieces, not resellable in any meaningful way. The visual value they paid for was the illusion, and that illusion doesn't transfer to anyone who knows what they're looking at. A setting that uses geometry to imitate a larger stone is designed to make the actual stone harder to evaluate. That's not styling. That's the design obscuring what you're buying. Both of those hurt. But this next one is the one I watch stop people in their tracks. Because the problem isn't just ongoing cost or low resale. The problem is that once you buy it, certain things become impossible. Not expensive, not inconvenient. Impossible. This is the one people see in a boutique and immediately say they need it. And I understand why completely. A tension setting holds the diamond with no prongs and no bezel. The band is engineered so its two ends press inward on the stone from both sides, clamping it in place through the spring tension in the metal itself. The stone appears to float between the ends of the band, with nothing underneath it and nothing above it. It's one of the most dramatic things you can do with a diamond. The light entry is spectacular. The resizing problem is the first thing you need to understand. And it's not a minor inconvenience. The tension setting works because the entire ring is calibrated as a single system to hold the stone. The diameter, the metal composition, the temper, all of it locked together precisely. The relationship between the circumference of the band and the gripping force on the stone is exact. You can't add or remove metal from that band the way you resize a traditional ring, because altering the circumference changes the tension. The stone would become loose. The setting doesn't resize. It has to be remade entirely. Some manufacturers offer a short remake warranty at purchase, usually 30 to 60 days from the sale date, that covers a sizing mistake right after buying. That window doesn't cover what happens when your finger size changes in 10 years because of weight gain, pregnancy, arthritis, or just aging. Those are the size changes that matter most for a ring you're wearing for life, and they're exactly the changes this setting can't accommodate. The service problem is the second issue, and it's more subtle. A bench jeweler who polishes a ring with heat, which is the standard method, risks altering the metal's temper if they handle a tension setting the usual way. If the temper softens, the spring tension drops. If the spring tension drops, the stone is no longer clamped securely. It can tilt. It can loosen. In the worst case, it falls out not because the ring was dropped or damaged, but because a routine polishing procedure was done without understanding what was underneath it. High-end tension setting manufacturers specifically advise seeking out jewelers with experience servicing this type of ring. And the reason they advise that is because ordinary bench practice can quietly disable the setting. Some jewelers decline to service tension rings at all. That's not a rumor. It's a practical reality of the trade. The stone exposure is the third thing. Because the setting uses no prongs and no bezel, the girdle of the stone, which is the thin edge around its equator, sits open on both sides. A lateral impact reaches the stone directly. Diamonds are the hardest natural material, but hardness and toughness are different properties. A diamond can chip at the girdle from a concentrated lateral hit, and a tension setting gives that hit a direct path. Here's the honest verdict. If your finger size has been stable for years, your life is relatively gentle on jewelry, and you have a long-term relationship with a jewelry who specifically understands tension settings, the risks can be managed. For everyone else, you're buying a ring that can never be resized and that most jewelers are uncomfortable touching. The industry calls this premium and artisanal. What it actually is inflexible. That's fine if you know it. It's a problem if you don't. 3 down. The last two look more familiar on the shelf. But familiar doesn't mean safe, and the fourth one is counterintuitive because the industry treats it as a safe choice when it isn't. Channel setting is a good technique. I want to say that clearly before going further, because the channel setting used for what it was designed to do is one of the most secure stone retention systems in jewelry. A channel band, a channel set wedding ring, side stones set in a channel accent on a solitaire. All solid choices. The problem is specific. The channel as a primary center mount for a significant stone. Here's what a channel setting is. 2 parallel metal walls form a groove, and a row of stones sits in that groove, with the edges of the stones protected by the walls on both sides. It's an excellent system for uniform pressure applications, which means stones of the same size in a line with distributed stress. That's what it was built for. The issue is when that system gets extended to hold a large center stone. Channel walls are proportioned for row stones. A bigger center stone introduces different forces and different weight distribution than a uniform row, and the walls can be pushed inward or outward by pressure they weren't built to absorb. Once a channel wall deforms, the center stone starts to move. And the part that gets buyers is that you often can't see the deformation at all. The stone is already working loose underneath. Resizing a channel set ring is meaningfully more constrained than resizing a plain band. Jewelers who work on channel-set ring repairs put the practical limit at roughly 1 to 2 ring sizes up or down before the channel's structural integrity is compromised. Beyond that, the groove can go crooked. Stone spacing becomes uneven. The walls stop aligning. What started as a resize ends as a rebuild. Cleaning is the other persistent issue. Debris collects inside the channel, behind the stones, under the girdles. The geometry makes it hard to reach. Most wearers skip that cleaning more often than they should, so the channel fills with grit. And grit is an abrasive working against the metal walls every day the ring is worn. Why does the industry use this as a center mount when it has these limitations? Because it costs less to produce than a proper prong head or a hand-cut bezel, it photographs cleanly, and most buyers don't notice the trade-off until they've been wearing it for a few years. By then, the sale is long over. One left. And this last one has the deepest problem on the entire list, because the flaw isn't in how the metal was made. It's cut into the stones. The invisible setting is, without irony, the most impressive technique on this list. Getting a row or grid of diamonds to sit with no visible metal between them or around them requires a level of precision that most bench jewelers couldn't replicate. It looks extraordinary when it's done right. High-end jewelry houses charge a premium for it, and the premium is earned. Here's what it requires. Each stone must have notches cut into its girdle, the thin edge running around the stone's middle. Those notches hook onto metal rails hidden beneath the surface. No prongs are visible from above. No metal interrupts the diamond surface. The stones themselves become part of the structure. That's also where the first problem starts. Cutting those notches removes material from the girdle and weakens the stone at exactly the points where it's anchored. A stone that's been notched for an invisible setting can't be placed in a standard prong mount afterward. It can't be reset into a bezel. The notches are specific to the invisible system, and once those cuts are made, the stone is committed to that type of mount and no other. The second problem is what happens when something goes wrong. In a traditional prong setting, a loose stone means retipping a prong. That's a standard repair, often done in an afternoon. In an invisible setting, you can't retip anything. The hidden grid underneath has to be accessed, which means disassembling part of the ring. That work requires specialized tools and specific training that most local jewelers don't have. Repair sources describe invisible setting work as technically demanding and, in many cases, not economically viable once damage has occurred. The issue isn't that it can't be fixed. The issue is that fixing it costs more than the repair is worth. The third problem is replacement. If a stone goes missing from an invisible setting, the replacement has to be cut to the same notch specification as the originals. You're not sourcing a standard round brilliant from a supplier. You're commissioning a custom-cut stone to match a proprietary system. That's not a repair bill. That's close to the cost of starting over. What you're buying when you buy an invisible setting is not just a ring. You're buying a lifetime commitment to the original manufacturer's system. If that manufacturer is still in business in 15 years, repairs are possible. If they're not, you're on your own with something very few people in the trade can service. If you love the look of minimal metal and a clean diamond surface, a well-made bezel achieves a contemporary profile without the lock-in. A bezel can be resized. Any competent jeweler can service one. It won't have the same all-diamond surface effect, but it will still be beautiful in 30 years. And you'll be able to find someone to work on it. All 5 of those settings have the same underlying pattern. The feature that makes them sell well in a showroom is the same feature that makes them hard to live with. The design trades long-term practicality for short-term visual drama, and the industry profits on both ends, the initial sale and the repair relationship that follows. The settings that hold up over decades of daily wear are the ones that sound boring. A solitaire with a classic 4-prong or 6-prong head. A bezel with solid metalwork. A simple channel band used as a band, not a center mount. Any jeweler on earth can resize, service, and maintain these. That's not a coincidence. That's what they were built to do. If you found something on this list that's already on your finger, drop a comment and tell me which one. I read them all, and the answers shape what I cover next.